Thank you for watching Town Talk. Joining me today is Wendy Northcross, the chair of the Local Comprehensive Planning Committee, and Lindsay Council, the vice chair of the Local Comprehensive Planning Committee. And we're going to do a quick overview of what the Local Comprehensive Plan is, and then talk about some of their community village sessions they have coming up soon. So Wendy and Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, nice to be here.
Yeah. So let's start with what the Local Comprehensive Plan is, because we're about a year and a half into it so far, but there still might be some people who aren't aware of what you guys are working on. So let's talk about that.
Well, I'll start, and you can backfill anything that I forget. It's real simple. It's basically a future-looking plan for how we're going to use the resources in the town, primarily land use planning. So we have a whole bunch of different subcategories, but really it's trying to look into the future and trying to imagine what the town needs are and what the town residents want into the future.
It's a very comprehensive plan, and it's a you're looking for that feedback from the community. You've been started meeting twice a month, and I'd say people are paying attention to the work that you're doing. I know a couple meetings ago you had DPW in and the CCRTA, and you've had different people come in and kind of present on what it is they do. So what has that been like?
Well, I'd like to just start from the beginning. We spent probably the first year just listening to people. I mean, we literally went to meetings out in the communities, and we had visioning sessions, and we'd let people talk and share their ideas in writing and verbally, and a lot of that was almost frustrating for the committee because we were itching to give our opinions and talk, but we just had to sit there and listen and absorb and understand, and it was really valuable to go out and hear what people had to say.
Yes, I think the community input portion of our work is very important. This is a long-range plan for 10 years for the goals and visions of the community. And one thing to remember as well is this is really a 4-step plan. We are the community outreach portion of it, but this also goes to the planning board and then to the town council for their approval, and then on to the Cape Cod Commission. So this phase is the time for the public to really get involved, give us your feedback so we can bring that vision forward.
Right. Yeah. So you're in the phase 2 right now.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about phase 2 and what that's been looking like.
Well, phase 2 basically builds on phase 1. Fun how that works.
Yes, right.
And phase 1, we developed a vision statement, and if there's a lot of material. We have a website dedicated to just this work. And the town staff's doing a great job keeping that populated, and instantaneously information is up there. But if you don't have time to go through the volumes of material that we've been able to consume and generate, just look at the vision statement. Just go and look and see what was the distillation of all the things that we heard from the community and some of the things that were their priorities.
Oh, yeah.
So now we've taken, and then we did an existing conditions report. So now we're taking those 2 items and we're saying, now we're imagining the future. Now we're hearing from subject matter experts on our discrete topic areas and trying to put some goals and strategies and tactics around how we might achieve the wants and desires of our community.
And the vision statement is quite large. We'll put it up on the screen. It's got a lot of bullet points, but they're all so important.
Down.
Yeah.
The water is at the top.
Yes.
The top bullet is protect, restore, enhance priority natural habitats, salt and fresh water resources and open spaces. So that's what people cared the most about. And it wasn't just restoring our degraded marine waters or pond waters, it was also protect the quality of our drinking water. Because our drinking water is abundant and it's great because we have spent decades protecting it and paying attention to it. And now people want us to make sure that we're doing the right thing by our marine life and our pond life and the health of us, of those like to go and use those waters. So that's really the top bullet, along with open space and along with just keeping this a beautiful place to live.
Right, and you got a lot of this from a survey that you did. There's been a lot of back and forth with the public. They can participate in different ways. They can come and speak at public comment in your meetings, but you did a big survey. You have a monthly survey that you have going on the barnstablelcp.com website, and then that's going into these community village meetings that are going to start up in April. So let's talk about what those look like.
Well, those are actually a chance to go in the various villages and hear what their needs are. Barnstable is a very diverse community, 7 villages. Katuitt is a lot different than Hyannis or Barnstable Village.
Yeah.
So each one has its own needs, and each one wants to have their priorities brought forward. So it's very important for folks to come out, and this is a chance to come to your own village with your own folks and give your input on where you'd like to see things.
It's so true about the 7 villages. You know, we're one very large town, technically a city, but 7 distinct villages with different needs and different wants and different things that they'd like to see. So I think going out to each individual village, giving people the opportunity to come to you instead of them, you know, coming into our meetings, you're going to bring it to them in the village centers.
It is interesting, you know, people that live here on our peninsula identify, when you're overseas and people say, where are you from, you might say United States. When you're in Boston and people say, where are you from, you say Cape Cod. When you're on Cape Cod, you say West Barnstable.
Right.
Or Santuit. I mean, we self-identify
Oh, yeah.
in very interesting ways. So what we have to do is make sure that we're going back to the villages and hearing their response to some of the work we've done to date. So right now we've got half of the plans sort of drafted, and those are the plans that we're specifically looking for feedback on.
So you mentioned that you're kind of like a land use, that's kind of your focus. Can you kind of explain a little bit more about what you mean by that? Because I think that might be something people are like, I don't know what that quite means.
Well, there are many aspects to that. One is something as simple as roadways. Barnstable has the 4th largest roadway system in the state, and we're also one of the largest towns. So input from folks, speeding is a big issue in the town of Barnstable, and so are private roads. There's more private roads than public. So that's a big issue. The other is water, as Wendy mentioned, and then something like housing. Community housing is a big deal, but that really has to be provided for through infrastructure, through wastewater planning. So we bring that in. And as was mentioned, even the historic nature of the village and these various villages that we have, each have a different character, and maintaining that is very important. So it reaches out in many areas to satisfy these needs, and hearing from the public through these village meetings is very important because each village has its own identity.
Right.
And I think it's important to know too, like we're hearing a lot about recreation. We want more playgrounds. It's like, oh, and I think we have a lot of playgrounds in our community, but that's like a very specific request. And the thing that's the challenge for us as a committee is that our community is pretty well developed. I mean, 400 years since colonization, and we've been doing a great job with open space protection, water protection, but still people have needs that create maybe vacant land to be developed, and there's a very finite amount of that left. So how do we appropriately protect what we love but plan for the future? You know, I heard a quote once that said, once a community stops growing, it starts dying. And we certainly don't want that, but we certainly don't want to create an environment where nobody wants to be here anymore.
Right. So what are these community village meetings going to look like for someone who's going to come say, I live in, well, let's say I live in Osterville and I'm going to come to the Osterville meeting. What should people expect when they come to this? Snacks, okay. Yeah, you guys always have snacks at the LCPC meetings.
Yeah, that's because of the time of day. That's a great, I don't know, I'm hoping it's like the first round of community meetings where we had big audiences and big turnouts. Of course, it was winter, but people were really itching to share what they thought. And I'm hoping that each village has a good turnout too.
Yeah.
And we'll give a brief overview of where we're at from the committee, go over the vision statement, which is really our foundation, and let folks know where we're at through the various sections of the plan that we're at, and ask for feedback on those. So it's a really good opportunity to share people's feelings. And Wendy mentioned playgrounds and recreation. Those are more of what's come out of our experience with COVID and things. People wanted something where they could get out and experience the environment. So that really led us to looking at the needs locally. And we've really found that even through my experience with the Community Preservation Committee, that, you know, today playgrounds have different levels. You need 3 different levels, one for the youngest, medium, and older children. So things have changed, and this is a wonderful time to hear from folks and what they need in their area.
Great.
I think it's important too to know that so what we're bringing out now is just half of the plan that's been drafted to date. So we have land use, housing, natural resources, and infrastructure and facilities. Those chapters are largely drafted. And so and up on the website, I think the last one we just heard from Tom Care and we just heard from the DPW about our massive amount of infrastructure in our town. It's not sewers, roads, culverts. I mean, it was a long meeting hearing about all of this underpinning of our economy and of our way of life and of our ability to live here. But so we're pausing here and we're sending those out into the community, and then we'll come back and we'll finish economic development, culture, heritage, and design, which encompasses some of our historic, heritage. So we have a lot more work left to do, but we're taking the entire month of April to be out in every single village.
Yeah.
Do another survey. You can always send us email. You can always post comments right to the town website. So we're just trying to make sure not everybody can come to a meeting at town hall, and not everyone has time to Zoom in even. So we really want to make sure we're getting out there and hearing from people.
Right. And my other question would be, say someone can't come to, they live in Katuitt, they can't make it to the Katuitt meeting, could they come to the Centerville meeting?
Sure.
Just kind of get the update from you?
Sure.
And
yeah. I mean, they might not like what they hear, but
exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. I think that it's important to say, Barnstable is like a mini county because of our 7 villages, and different villages have different zoning, right? So where we have smart growth incentives in one village, another village has high protective, large zoning regulations that don't apply in other villages. So there are nuances that we have to be careful of, but I think if you want to come and hear what other people in other parts of the town are saying, please join us. And there'll be snacks at every meeting.
Right. So they're right there.
There's no excuses.
Come and have some snacks.
I think we were trying to arrange childcare too, because that's important.
Yeah, it is. It is. You don't want anyone to feel like they can't come because, maybe they have a 3-year-old and, they're like, should I bring them? Should I not?
It's important. I mean, this is a 10-year plan, like Lindsay said. This is a plan that should last us for 10 years, but once it's certified by the Cape Cod Commission, once it goes through all of its approval processes and it's certified, then it gives the town back power to mitigate some of the things that might come our way. It might be an opportunity, it might be a developer that will say, yes, but you need to do this, this, and this, and that is what gives us the power to do that.
Great. Is there anything about the local comprehensive plan that maybe I didn't ask about that you want to make sure our viewers know? We're going to put all of these dates and times and locations up on the screen, so we don't need to go through that, but
all the meetings are at 6 p.m.
That's Yep.
And one thing about Barnstable is it's really sort of divided into a couple of areas. One is the really obvious commercial area in Hyannis, and that has its needs. Then there's the residential area of Osterville and Centerville and in the southern side of town. But then you have the more rural north part of town. And each one of those areas needs its own particular attention because they're going to get different levels of service and different needs based on where you are. So this is an opportunity to really explore that. And the other thing that the local comprehensive plan does is it really acts as a foundation for the council moving forward as they prepare their yearly budgets and priorities. And one of the things we're going to supply through this plan is various studies and information pieces that will be available to the council so that when projects come forward, they will have information that they can use for their deliberations. And that's a very important part, whether it be the open space plan, housing production plan, recreation plan, those kinds of things. Very important to guide the planning of the town as we go forward.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thanks.
We really appreciate it, and good luck with the community village sessions.
We'll see you there.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
All right.